Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications.
I hope you're doing well today. It is May the 10th. It's actually Mother's Day. So for those of us who are listening who have children and are mothers, happy Mother's Day to you. Now, yesterday I did a video interview with, I just know him by Rex. Somebody put in there Rex Bear. Maybe his last name is Bear. But it was from the Leak Project. And I'll put the link down in the description so you can, if you want, you can listen to the interview. I will say this. Rex was one of the most generous hosts that I've had the pleasure of being on his show. Very open-minded, wonderful energy. I don't know how much caffeine that guy drinks in the morning time, but it's a lot more than me. But no, I'm just kidding. He just seems very passionate about what he does, seems to really love what he does, and it definitely shows. He's got a lot of energy. But anyway, I just want to give a shout out to the Leak Project because he seems like he's doing some really good work. So I really wanted to thank him again for the opportunity to talk on a show. And since then, some people who have listened to the program have asked some questions. So if you do want to ask a question, either today or in the future or whatever, feel free to post your question as a comment, or you can email me directly at searchforsigns@mail.com. Now, let's get on into it. One question that somebody put is from Flip and Photos. I like that name. Anyway, it says, what steps are you taking to find the Maitreya? Do you have any suspects besides Raj Patel? Now, first of all, the Maitreya is not correct. Is not a title. It's his name. Maitreya actually means happy one. And Rex can relate to this because he seemed very happy doing what he was doing. But Maitreya, the times that I've seen Maitreya in person, he definitely fits that name. He's full of joy. It's like somebody that just won the lottery. I mean, you imagine somebody that's that excited, but what lights him up is the potential of humanity. Like he said one time, keep your eyes on the prize, and the prize is humanity. I mean, that was the winning lottery ticket for him, was the potential of all of us. So now, I don't suspect Raj Patel is Maitreya. In fact, I ruled him out. For one thing, he said he wasn't Maitreya. Two, Maitreya said he would never confirm nor deny being Maitreya. He just would not, but he would not say no, But Raj Patel said he wasn't Maitreya. And then also, the energy of his words is different than one of the times that I've seen Maitreya. Now, Maitreya, the times that I've seen him, he looked different every time, but the eyes of Maitreya are always the same. And that was always the giveaway for me, is you look in his eyes and, they say the eyes are the window of the soul. Well, even though he might look like a young man, a woman, an elderly gentleman, the time that I saw him one time, to a kid, to, whatever, it was always the eyes that struck me. And when I started listening to what he was saying, it really struck me. But initially it was the eyes that kind of got my attention. So Raj Patel, as wonderful of a person as he is, doesn't have the same quality of energy that Maitreya has. But anyway, none of us do but Maitreya. But it's not taking anything away from Raj Patel. He's just not Maitreya. And Maitreya is not Raj Patel. So, it works both ways. But I am not taking any steps to try and find Maitreya on TV or on the internet, seek out his interviews or anything. Simply because Benjamin Creme's master said not to do that. Maitreya himself said not to do that. Maitreya said a long time ago, do not chase after me. Do not try to follow me, because once you do, you've already lost me. So I'm waiting. My last time I saw Maitreya in person, he did say that I would see him on TV real soon, and we'll change the world together. So it's been over 10 years, but for the masters, that's pretty soon. So eventually we'll all see him. We'll all be able to hear his words, hear his wisdom, take his advice or not, or whatever we want to do. But in the end, it's not long off before we will all know who he is. Just right now, he's speaking directly to humanity, but in incognito. Keeping it that way so that we might discover the truth of his advice on our own and not because it's coming from Maitreya. And that's the reason why. It's more important to have a heartfelt response to his message than an kind of a dogmatic or a ideological response to it where you're doing it because of who he is, if that makes any sense. So I'm not doing it, and I don't recommend that other people do it. And if you see Maitreya on TV and you're pretty certain it is him, it's better just to keep your mouth shut and not spread the word that, oh, I think I saw him on TV and he's going by this name, because it's important for all of us to have that heartfelt response. And you would be actually denying that person that you tell the opportunity, the wonderful gift to realize the truth of his words for themselves. So it's better just to be patient and let people come onto that zone. So according to Benjamin Creme, if somebody does ask you, did you see Maitreya on TV? I think that was him. It's best just to say, what do you think? And just leave it at that. So somebody wrote a question, Tao Zen Chi, can we see that bit of the Maitreya on YouTube? Yes, I hope. Would like to see him. It's not me anyways. You've seen him. I may have seen him on TV, but I don't know. You may have seen him on TV and not known, because he doesn't look anything like the way he looks. Now, it might seem kind of peculiar or odd for someone of his stature to have that kind of approach to humanity and not just come out and say it, but the reappearance of the Christ is more than just a single event. It's a huge undertaking. The process has been going on for thousands of years. Actually, Jesus himself was a part of the reappearance of the Christ. Actually, if you really looked at it from the broad picture, stepping way out and looking at it. There are a lot of laws, and the law of cause and effect is the main one, that govern a being in a stature of Maitreya interacting with humanity or with any one of us. So he cannot infringe on anybody's free will, period. So I guess there are people that, and I know some people who have thought that they've seen him on TV. They didn't say the name that he was going by, but he is approaching humanity in this way in order for us to find the truth in his words and what he's saying on our own. But more importantly, it's better to not try to find him on YouTube or on TV, really, to be honest. But I also think that there's a relationship between the media and mankind. And as faulty as the media is, and as biased and as opinionated as the media is at this today, it still does act as a representative of humanity. So when Maitreya is on TV, if the person who is interviewing him is not asking him questions that would bring about the answer to lead people to believe that he might be something other than just an ordinary person, then he is not going to assert anything until they start asking him questions like that. To give you an example, Benjamin Creme gave an example when he was working with his master, that he asked his master a series of questions about an esoteric topic, or ageless wisdom topic, whatever you want to call it. And his master said, that's it, exactly. And then Benjamin Creme asked another question about it. Oh, he says, that's it, exactly. Then he said another question about it. Am I right about this? And he goes, yeah, that's it, exactly. And every time that Benjamin Creme would ask if he was seeing it correctly or right, or if, am I right about that? His master would say, that's it, exactly. And eventually, Benjamin Creme probed his master a little bit harder for the real answer, and his master says, that's it, exactly how you see it. So these masters never, ever, ever infringe on our free will. And a lot of times it might seem very odd and peculiar in the way that they interact with humanity, and you'll see this for ourselves, but they're doing it for us to come up with the answer ourselves. It's crucial and very important that we figure things out for ourselves within the framework of their guidance and their teaching, and not to be just handed the answer every single time. There's times I'm sure they'll tell us the answers to things. There's other times they want us to to think for it ourselves, because it's whatever is the best for us. But I do think that the quality of the questions that the interviewer is asking Maitreya, who's on TV, is why we are not, most people, like Benjamin Creme's master used the term, the reason why his head isn't coming above the horizon to where people start to recognize him is as much about the questions that he's being asked, and the answers that he's giving are very simple. So, for instance, another example could be, let's say he's asked something about the coronavirus. He might know the energetic reason why and the karmic reason why this is going on, but he's not going to say it like that. He might say, well, I think the best thing that we should do is work together as a people. I mean, it could be any way that he answers it, you know what I mean, however he answers it. But he might not even be talking about sharing the world's resources yet. He might be more talking about politics. I don't know. You know, it just depends on what he wants to talk about and what they're asking him. So but in time we'll all see him, so we don't have to worry about that. It's just be patient and let it come to you, kind of. All right. What else? I guess the next question he asked a lot of questions. Yes, he said, you really meet a real body. Yes, he was a physical, the times that I've seen Maitreya, he was in a physical body that other people have seen, that other people could see, other people interacted with, not only me. There were times where other people interacted with him at some point of the encounter, and then other times other people didn't see him. But yes, but it's not how he looks in England when he was living in England. It's how he wants to look for me. So if, for instance, if you have a prejudice towards something, he might, let's say you had a prejudice toward women, he might appear as a woman to you. Or if, like I have an extreme prejudice toward BMW drivers. Actually, I think they're the worst drivers on the road, right? Well, there was a time I saw him, he was standing next to a BMW, and he was doing it to help me realize that that's something that I need to work on. Now, it hasn't helped because it's been 20 some odd years since I've seen him standing next to a BMW, and I still can't stand BMW drivers, but you get my point. So if you, like, for instance, if, let's say you don't like people that smoke and you're totally against people that are smoking, you might see Maitreya one time and he's smoking a cigarette. Doesn't mean that he's addicted to cigarettes, it just means he's doing that to teach you a lesson. So all these masters look for, they don't have a familiar or dress a way or say something in a way to be cute. They do it as a lesson to help us. But a lot of times they can be very funny, and very humorous. There's times that I saw Maitreya, I mean, he was hilarious. Other times he was very serious. Other times he cried. It just depends, on what he wanted to teach me at the time that he wanted to teach me. The other question that he asked is this Maitreya being a supernatural being? Yes, he is the master of all the masters. So he not only, all these masters manifest perfectly their soul nature, which is the nature that's within all of us that makes us divine, that we share with the divine. We don't manifest it perfectly, that's why we're humanity. But eventually we will all be just as perfect in the way that they are perfect. Now Maitreya, he's taken it a little step further because he actually can embody the love nature of God. That's what makes him a Christ. Just like the Buddha, who worked through the Gautama Buddha the same way that Maitreya worked through the then disciple Jesus, can embody the wisdom aspect of God. So there are actually two Christs on this planet, the Buddha and Maitreya. And so one embodies, like I said, the Buddha embodies the wisdom aspect, and Maitreya embodies the Christ principle or the love aspect of God. But it's not a path that every master takes in order to be a Christ. It's a very rare thing indeed, and it's extremely rare that a planet at our low level would even have one, let alone two. So we're the only planet at this level in our solar system that has a Christ, let alone two. So we're doubly blessed in a lot of ways. All right, next question. Do you know Sadhguru? I think it's Sadhguru? I don't ever know how to pronounce his name. Yes, I've watched videos of him on YouTube. I found his teachings to be enlightening in a way, and I've actually taken it to heart and really looked at it and learned from it. I found his teachings to be humorous, especially when he was talking about raising children and raising adolescents. I found it to be very funny. So yes, I know who he is. He's a wonderful person. But this next question, or that's actually not a question, it's a statement, says, keep your attention high, sound the Om. Whew. Now that person knew Benjamin Creme, because Benjamin Creme used to say that during every one of the transmission meditations that I ever attended, keep your attention high, right between the eyebrows, sound the Om, think Om. I really miss Benjamin Creme. He was a delightful person. He wasn't always easy to take. Sometimes he was very tough on me. But in the end, I love him dearly and I miss him dearly. He was a sincere person. You know, all this people that paint him with this, you know, he's the false prophet, he's the deceiver, ultra deceiver. He was none of those things. He was one of the most, if not the most, hardworking person I've ever seen in my life, and never stopped. Generous to a fault in terms of his time for other people and so forth. But also, he had a very unique and special connection with one of the masters, where he could ask his master a question at any time. And these masters have the ageless wisdom teachings, the wisdom of the ages at their fingertips. They don't even have to turn their head, look down, look up. It's right there for them. They already know that they know. So anytime you'd ask Benjamin Creme a question and he asked his master a question, the answer was quite astounding and quite illuminating in a lot of ways. And Benjamin Creme would always give credit to his master when his master answered the question or brought up a topic or whatever. But Benjamin Creme, when Maitreya is out known for who he is and people start to really do some research on who this man was, you know, the view of Benjamin Creme will change dramatically from what it is today. But I can attest to it. He believed 100% and was totally honest about what he was saying. And his contacts with Maitreya and with these masters and with these space beings and stuff were 100% authentic. So anyway, take it for what it is. Alrighty, and then the last question, I was going to read one of Benjamin Creme's master's articles, but I don't think I'm going to have time. So there have been so many really good questions and comments that I was able to just kind of go through this. Now, this one, it says, "Hi Gary, heard you on Leak Project. Became familiar with Maitreya many years ago when I was introduced to the Baha'i religion in Australia in the 70s. Very enlightened religion, at least I thought so. One thing about the Baha'i religion is it was actually, you know, it was started by a Middle Eastern man named Baha'u'llah, but it was actually written through him by the Master Jesus. So a lot of his teachings are coming from the Master Jesus himself. Anyway, just as the Master Jesus worked through Muhammad to create the Quran. All right, so I was wondering who or what is abducting people across the planet. Most abductees speak of the gray aliens. Who are they? They are a figment of people's imaginations. And this is going to maybe alienate, I hate to use that word, but I will use it since you said the word alien. So, you know, a lot of people. These space brothers, and I'm going to try to say this as simple as I can, but as memorable as I can. Never, ever, 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 ever abducted anybody. They live totally harmless within the law. They are here beneficially to help us. The grays there's no truth to the grays. These, according to George Adamski even, these space brothers could walk into a crowded church or mall or restaurant and no one would even look up to think that they looked any different than you or I. So the only thing George Adamski said was that the gentleman from Mars that he knew was much shorter. And there's 9 billion Martians living on Mars. Now, you wouldn't be able to see him if you flew there. You'd have to have etheric vision to see him. But the reason why they are short is because there's so many people living on Earth. So, But yeah, that's the only thing that kind of makes them unique. But everything else, they look just like us. Humanity is universal throughout the cosmos. And the only beings that can actually leave their planet and go to another planet have to be of a certain evolutionary, path. So there are not saying that every being and every part of humanity that's on any planet is beneficial. Just like if, somebody came to this planet from, let's say Venus, might go, oh my gosh, these people are violent. So, but yet we can't get off our planet now, can we really? Right? I mean, we can travel to the moon maybe, but for the most part, we can't just get up in we can't just go climb into a spaceship and fly to Venus or Mars or Saturn or anything, right? Until we are able to put war behind us forever is really what it amounts to. So the technology that these spacecraft fly on, the technology of light, will not be given to us until we are totally harmless, until they know for a fact that we are harmless. So it might be a few minutes. It might be a week and a half before they realize it. No, I'm saying it's going to be years before we're given that technology. And Maitreya says, yes, they're ready. They can handle it. They put war behind them forever. And then we'll have the technology that we can eventually travel to the distant stars if we want to. But up until that point, we can't. Just the same as there might be some planets, and I already know a few, Pluto's one of them. There are people living on Pluto that aren't as evolved as people here on this earth. So they just can't up and fly here. They're gonna have to reach that same point where they put war behind themselves forever before they're able to fly. But eventually we'll all get it. But anyway, I hope this helps. And again, thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again in another video. You take care.
Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.